everybody? Welcome back to, again, it's not Britain's Hangout Hour. It's another discussion with my good friend Josh Pantalleresco, and we're talking about Transmetropolitan today. But I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, Britain. Didn't you already have a conversation with this exact man this crazy man here about Transmetropolitan? And the answer is kind of. I thought that episode was really bad, and I could always do better. So this is what I call the redo.
Okay, it wasn't completely terrible, but you weren't all there. That's what I will say. Is so this time, Britain, no matter where it happens here, this is it.
All right, man. Yeah, I'm hoping my power didn't flicker this time, because that was also just. It was not a good day.
Control your look. Good advice for everybody watching or listening to this. Control your controllables. Sometimes it's just not meant to be, and you got to roll with it. It's just, and take it from me, I've legitimately done 1,000 of these. So
Yeah, you have. Congrats, man.
yeah, it's scary. 1,001 is tomorrow. So
Oh my god.
yeah,
Then you're gonna be doing.
I took a week off. I took a week off, and I've been working on my novel because I got to get that where it needs to go next week. So
I need to keep editing mine because I finished mine. But anyway,
we can talk about that after the show's done. But
we're
anyway.
we're back talking about Transmetropolitan again because again I wasn't very proud of my performance in my last one, and well, we're back here now. I am a journalist,
Yeah.
so Transmet has a very special place in my heart. In that cold, dark place that sometimes my heart is.
You're not a cold dark dude.
That's
You,
true.
you know you're not. I mean, I think the big thing that needs to be understood, that I said this last time, I'll say this again. The big thing that needs to be understood about this book is the guy writing it, the characters portraying it care about the world. If they didn't, they wouldn't be as passionate as they are about the things they talk about in this book. Um, and that's something like we always want, like, to talk about the ideals of journalism, and one of the ideals of it is passion. You don't want a dispassionate view of the world. You want a passionate view about what's going on in the world. And the thing about Spider, whether you love him or you hate him, he has his point of view, right? And
Exactly.
it's an honest point of view,
He's
and that's
a
what makes it work.
he's a bald, drug using, cuss wording son of a bitch, bastard, as he
Sometimes,
probably call himself a bastard a lot. He hates
yeah,
everybody, and he
he's a
probably hates
bastard for
himself
sure.
as well.
See, I'm 50 on that one with him. So
You don't think
he
you
doesn't.
don't think he hates himself?
No,
He
he
puts
hates the
himself through a
city.
lot of punishment. I'm just saying.
Well, no. He hates the city. Like, for him, okay. So again, this needs to be like literally where he was. Like, he talked about this. Well, this was mentioned throughout the series, but more in the beginning than the end. But he always loved the mountains. He was literally there. And when
Yeah.
I mean, and he had to come back to a city he despised,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the whole premise. You have to come back here because here is where you did your work. Here is where, and that's the thing about him, is he's in a terrible situation,
Yeah.
right?
He
And
goes from looking like Alan Moore, and then he turns into a hybrid of Hunter S. Thompson and Grant Morrison. And
something like that.
before you say no, he doesn't look like Grant Morrison. He looks like Grant Morrison a little bit. Come on, just a little bit.
But I don't know. I don't know if Grant
He probably
was the
wasn't the
full fledged.
inspiration, but he did kind of look like him a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how many tattoos Morrison has. I've seen Morrison once,
Oh,
so he
really?
didn't look like
That's
I'm.
cool.
Oh, I mean, literally passing through. Like, it was. I wasn't like I went and had a conversation with the guy. But
Okay.
yeah, but
That would have been
uh,
a very interesting. I'm sure that would be a very interesting conversation.
he's a neat dude. He's someone I definitely would love to interview at some point. But I mean, he's a neat dude. But
Well, don't
um,
forget they're called they now. So I know you probably that's innocuous. Anyway, um, So, Transmetropolitan is a comic book series that ran from 1997 to 2002, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Written by Warren Ellis, who was part of the British invasion of American comics. Who, for some reason, those fucking redcoats can write about America better than we can. It's quite shameful at this point. But that's beside the point. He wrote it very well, and it also inspired me to become an angry, raging journalist myself. So thank you, Mr. Ellis, and Mr. Robertson, if you ever watch this.
Darick Robertson. I mean, I think it was. It's not that they were better writers. I'm gonna go there. It's not because there's a lot of great American writers in that.
I'm just saying, it's just kind of frustrating when you read like an American comic from a British author and you're like, damn it, why aren't more comics written like this?
Well, okay, but now that's but we gotta be a little bit honest though. I mean, this was a time like when Transmetropolitan came out. This was a time when superheroes still were far and away the most dominant. Superheroes still dominate the industry to some degree even today, but there's a lot more room for different works.
Sure, yeah.
But right at the time there wasn't like in the late 90s. I mean, you had some room for it. I mean, Vertigo had crafted a little niche for itself with Hellblazer, with Sandman, with and this is where he did the and DC was trying to expand that a little bit, which is why that book was given the green light. But I think the imprint was called Helix. I could be wrong. It's been a long time, but they eventually got absorbed back into Vertigo. Like comics still weren't comfortable putting comics like that out as a regular thing. Today, it's a different story altogether. But back then, I can't hear you.
No, sorry, I was thinking.
Yeah.
I have a bad. Continue what you were saying.
Yeah. So you go back to that era, right? There wasn't really a lot of those kind of books. In a lot of cases, it wasn't what the market was. It was where the market was heading towards. And Ellis is definitely one of the pioneers of that market, and he's honestly the second British invasion, not the first. The first British invasion was Gaiman, was Moore, was right Morrison and so that was there. Like this was the second wave. The other thing that has to be mentioned here is Britain had a great developmental system, which is something the American comics still really don't have, and that's a shame because there's some great writers out there. You look at some of the better.
Is pretty cool, I think so. Anyway.
What? Yeah, to 2000 AD? Yeah, it's fantastic. It's got some really good
like they're Marvel and DC out there. Well, that isn't Marvel.
Well, kind of, but I mean.
I know British people also read Marvel and DC, so I don't want to assume these things.
But it's where a lot of guys go to learn the craft, right? I mean, if you look at modern day examples of this, right? Al Ewing comes from that too, right? And Ewing made his North American debut with Blood. That's an aside, but I mean, so what you were looking at with Transmet in particular was it was a market that was looking to find its footing. And an author with a very, 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 very passionate about it, and an artist, Darick Robertson. The other thing he doesn't get enough credit for this.
I think that's why I like Transmet. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think that's why I like Transmet so much. It is so passionate, even if it's really extreme, rather shamelessly so.
well, no,
not quite as Garth Ennis levels, but it gets there sometimes.
Oh, it's a dark book. It has its dark moments in there for sure. But I like going back to what I was saying here. Robertson got this up. He doesn't get enough credit for the world building he did there. Agree. He created a very fascinating city and world in which Spider played in. And let's be honest, Spider played in it. The whole series takes place in that city, and you had an artist that was wanting to do something, had some desire to do something like this. You had a writer hungry enough to tell the story, and it's a damn good story. That's the last thing too. It's really, really good. But I mean, the reason why you weren't seeing comics like that is up until that point, right? He was literally getting a chance.
Well, I
and
agree.
that was his. Yeah, that was his chance, and he. Credit to Ellis, credit to Robertson, they swung the bat, and they're kind of both of them. The rest is history. I mean, Robertson went on to do The Boys, and whatever you may think
Born.
about Warren Ellis today, he's one of the most prolific authors in comics ever.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with Garth Ennis what he said in the Warren Ellis documentary that I forget what the site's called. They made it a few years ago. It's Warren Ellis off the leash. I think that's a good way to describe Transmetropolitan.
Yeah, it's Warren talking about the shit he really cares about. That's why the book works. Like, forget the battle disruptors, forget the machines that do drugs, forget all the wild and wacky imaginative shit that's in there. It's about a man that cares about what's going on in the world and wants to change it for the better. Like, when you break Transmetropolitan down, that's what it is. And
It's also
that's where
about how
Warren
we, the people, have the power to change things.
we always do. That's something that but also it's like the hypocrisy, like some of the things that pissed me off today in media and politics today were issues going on even back then. I just as an aside, it's amazing how little people read about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
We're not an informed culture anymore, and we haven't been for a very long time. And one of the things I really like about the show is, not the show, the
Oh.
comic, is
I was about to
Warren
say.
plays with it. Warren plays with that idea big time. The idea, because all Spider does is like try to tell the truth to the best of his ability, and he often one of my favorites, one of the funnier episodes, funnier comics in the
Meat
series
issues.
is, well, no, the him watching television for 24 hours.
Yeah, he's always doing. I love when he goes on his overly dramatic monologue about the person who stole his drugs. He's like,
Well,
you ever
then
want
some
to
so
set someone's head
the,
on fire just to see what it would be like? I wonder
yeah,
I wonder if I could make that nun blind by giving her a kiss. And then it
uh,
just ends with, well, you stole my drugs, so you're gonna
well,
fucking
no,
die. Pretty much.
that's a little later on down. What I'm talking about is it's the first year of the book. He watches TV for 24 hours,
Oh, you mean when he's like sitting
and
there and the cat's on him and he's just like,
no, he's literally watching television. And the thing is, he gets bored like about an hour in, which I understand this. I get bored watching television now very easily. Um, and and so what ends up happening is he starts doing these call-ins to all these shows, and he's just telling it like it is, right?
mm-hmm.
He with all of them, he tells the truth about people, and one of the things about that is like it's looking up a history lesson. I'm not going to go into politics today, but if you look at any of our leaders, doesn't matter which country you're in, if you want to know what they're going to do, you could very easily today look up what they've done. It gives you a really good idea of where they're likely to go. Because again, we don't change that much. Once you see a pattern. So if you see it, I mean, you're no longer so impressed by anything being presented or thing. Again, I'm at that point in my life where I'm pissed off at the way the world is. So I understand, like, he did a marvelous job over and over and over again, showing just how blatant corruption can be. And literally, it's on the surface. You don't even have to look that hard, but people don't all the time. It's such a it's probably one of the biggest, most frustrating things about today. But I mean, it was going on even then too.
Yeah, people are I don't want to say they're lazy now because we've always been lazy. I I have a sort of I have a weird way that I look at the world. Things change, Josh, but at the same time, things kind of stay the same. Now,
Yeah, that was true.
I mean, we've changed for sure, but have we? And I like that Transmet kind of plays with that idea that we're in the future now. And we're still dealing with the same bullshit that we're dealing with today and yesterday and the years before that.
Well, it's true. Like human nature has not changed much in thousands of years. Like even in the pandemic. I mean, it's amazing how many people went back to very much people were afraid, and what did they do? They turned to authority. Why? Because authority is, they trusted it. They trusted it right when they needed it, right? So it's a weird thing. Like, it's
Or
weird
how
how,
people of authority can convince people to hate another group of people
yeah.
while there's blatant corruption going on. Like
Well,
Jim Crow South
I mean,
or Nazis, anything like that.
well, I mean, you can compare something. Like I said, you can just compare like some things. Like, it's amazing how much history repeats itself all the time, and it's just being aware of that. I mean, that's a little theme throughout Transmet is um, people aren't informed, and
Have we
sometimes
ever been informed, Josh? Like that's a real question. Have we ever really been informed?
I think people can find it if they
Well,
want to
yeah,
look
that's true.
for it. Um, it the question that becomes this, like politically, I'm an atheist, and by that I mean, but
You've
but
said this.
but yeah. By that I mean, I have no faith. If a politician told me right now that the sky was blue and I looked up and saw a blue sky, I'd be afraid of what they're trying to put over on me. I have, and it's not even like I'm like that's where I'm at right now.
Right.
Like, I have so little trust, and it doesn't matter about the party because I can look at any one of their histories and I can tell you the shit about Biden I hate. I can tell you the shit about Trump I hate. I can tell you about it doesn't matter. Like, to me, it's like they're all lying to me, and it doesn't benefit me to root for one side or the other. And I can inform myself of what they've done, but will it make me just mad? Like, mad because I can't do anything about it? Will it help me with my own decisions? And that's what I kind of try to do now is I will inform myself with things I need to do and to the best of my ability, right? But I'm going to try to do it in a way that doesn't just leave me pissed off. Sometimes I don't succeed, but I try. Right?
Yeah. No. I mean, I've said it before, and I'll probably say it dozens of other times. But Transmet's a good series to read when you're really mad at the world and you just wanna read something or just have someone tell you, "I understand how that feels."
Sure. I think everybody should be pissed off at the world a little bit today. I think
If
I'm
someone is
being
actually happy at where the world's at, I would be very worried.
well. But I think also, I mean, going back to the human nature argument, I think there's always that. There's so many battles. I think a journalist's real job is to point out the real battles going on in the world, not advertising the latest corporate shill product thingamabob for some of their sponsors, but rather, okay, like what's going on in the world, what's going on in Somalia right now, what's going on, like what's going on there that we're doing that's we shouldn't be doing. Maybe looking at what's going on in like China right now, and not in terms of like the big ish, like the big narrative, but actually how China's treating their own cultures and people right now. Like, you can go around and just see, like, you should, it's in your life, have it within you to go in and check the temperature of the room yourself. You should not live and die by just a particular narrative. You should seek your own answers. And sometimes you're going to be very pissed off with what you find. It's just the way it is. But sometimes that information can help you and can help other people. And I think that's what journalism should be about. It's not about um, okay, what the fuck's going on right now? Um, another indictment versus some letters from a son. I mean, those are both, yeah, terrible for their own reasons. But maybe what it should be about is, okay, why do we have so many people on the streets right now?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
why are we not dealing? Why are we putting billions of dollars into Ukraine and not into the infrastructures in our own countries? Even in Canada right now, there's more streets right now than there's ever been. We're about to go into another housing crisis up here.
Mm.
Like, you can see we're knocking on the door of that, and it's gonna happen probably sometime next year. So, I mean, what are you gonna do, right? I mean, but those are things no one's talking about. Those are things no one's really going out of their way to inform the public on. And that's what journalism should be doing, right? And I'm talking mainstream journalism. If you look on like places like Substack, Reddit, Twitter, some of the other places where a lot of people are posting, you can find these research things yourself now. But that's where journalism is today in the real world. It's no longer on your television screen. It is now, you have to look for it.
Mm-hmm. It's hard though, because there's so much. Because there's a lot of disinformation as well.
But that's where being discerning comes to mind, right? Like you have to, like, you can't be afraid to be wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to be open enough to discuss those ideas. Like, the best way to confront disinformation is freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, if me and you are talking about an idea,
yeah,
and you disagree with my idea, and I show you information that where I'm getting it from, and you're well, now we can really meet in the middle and have a discussion of the ideas and where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a wonderful way of doing it. You cannot do this with any other way other than freedom of speech.
Mm-hmm. It's like I remember I was in a news writing class. I don't want this to be too much of a discussion about journalism, but
well, no.
But the series is about journalism, so it kind of is part.
We're also, I want to go in a slightly different direction than we did last time. So I mean, it's your show, direct it as you will. But anyway, let's go down the journalism rabbit hole a little longer.
All right. I remember when you say that, it reminds me of it was something John Milton wrote. I can't remember what it was about. Or I can't remember what it was called, but I do remember it was about exactly the same thing you were talking about. That, you know, how do we prevent disinformation? Talk about it. Or, you know, John Stuart Mill had a very similar idea. You know, I mean, I'm talking about philosophers now. No, John Milton he wrote Paradise Lost. So
No, but I mean, he's right. Like, look, I can say that the Earth is flat. Now, again, I'm not here to discuss flat Earth, but right.
Say the Earth is flat, we're gonna.
Well, no, but okay, but here's where you gotta have a little, like, this is where I'm coming at you and as a challenge. I've done this to you a few times.
Yeah.
Even if the idea feels absolutely batshit to you, you have to have enough of an open line to hear the person out. Because honestly, that's the important thing. It's not even agreeing with somebody. It's hearing them out, because they might have a point, right? They might have a point, right? They might be completely right about something you've never anticipated, or you know, if you know or they go completely off the rails, and well, you'll see it right then and there, right? Mm-hmm. It's not necessarily it's not just the idea that itself that you have to combat. What you really should want to know is, how did they come to this conclusion and why? Because there is where, like, you can learn, right? If I say the Earth is flat, okay, you laughed. Have you ever talked to a flat earther about their logic and their science?
I've heard it, but I've never actually met a flat earther.
Okay, so
admittedly,
it's an interesting, again, and folks, the world's round. I'm not disputing that. But the point is, the point, dude. but the thing is, I will listen to it, because I want to hear where the idea comes from. I want to hear where the idea comes from, because even though I might disagree with the conclusion, there might be a kernel of truth in the idea, and that shouldn't just be offhand dismissed.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I found the thing John Milton wrote. I just I can't pronounce I can't pronounce it, or like, if Mark Hannibit, my teacher, were here, I could ask him and he could pronounce it. But
yeah,
it's pronounced. I think it's Areopagitica or something. I think it's Latin.
Okay, so what's the translation?
What's the translation?
Because that's the important. But your quote is that's the important quote. So might as well get it to the audience, right?
Well, hold on. Let me.
Yeah.
Let me look it up. But basically, the idea he was going for was, ideas should be discussed and debated,
Mm-hmm.
and the good ideas will eventually win out. That's kind of what he was saying.
Absolutely.
And John Stuart Mill said similar things as well. Because one of the things that interests me in history and like, you know, philosophy and all that is how people, and even in literature, is how people respond to each other. It's almost like a response. I don't know, like, I'll talk about science fiction, like, you know, Moorcock and J.G. Ballard, and those guys were responding to, you know, Heinlein and, you know, Arthur C. Clarke and Isaac Asimov. You know, or in fantasy, Moorcock was responding to Tolkien, and Tolkien was responding to, you know, whoever. I don't know if I'm on something, and again, I'm going off the topic here, but
no. I think I want clarity. What you mean, like, what you're responding to? Like,
yeah,
are you talking about the ideas they were expressing? Like, this is the question I'm asking.
The ideas they were expressing. That's what interests me. Just how they, you know, or how, you know, Machiavelli says at the beginning of The Prince. He makes a comment about imaginary republics. He was referencing Plato's Republic. And he was responding to Plato's ideas about what an ideal republic would be like. And Machiavelli's saying, no, this is what is happening. And this is how you should respond to it.
Well, Machiavelli was in the trenches, so to speak. Like, there's the idea of how something should work, and there's sometimes the reality and the idea just don't mesh well together, right? So, I mean, that's some of it. I mean, I think like a good modern example.
That's why a utopia is not going to happen.
Oh, maybe not today, but I mean, it's a struggle worth like the nature of place. I think is definitely within all of us to do. But what I was going to say is, if you're looking at that, I think Philip Pullman and C.S. Lewis. Pullman despises Lewis's interpretation of some things. He's
responding to William Blake and John Milton as well.
Well, he's using their ideas, but I think the person he's responding to is C.S. Lewis, and it's an interesting idea. And like I said, because Lewis had such an impact in fantasy too. Like a lot of people, again, Tolkien's the man, but I mean, for my money, I like New Lewis better. But that's just me.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah,
I know Lewis is interesting because he's never thought I'd bring up C.S. Lewis in a Transmet discussion, but
why not?
What's funny is like the people who hate Lewis, like, they fucking hate him.
Absolutely. Well, no, but okay. Then let's tie this back to Transmet.
I don't know if his work has I've kind of moved on from Narnia, but I don't have this firm this is bad. Someone talking like Lewis ran over their dog.
No, see, here's the thing about Lewis, and this ties to Transmet perfectly. So C.S. Lewis, what he did, it wasn't so much his fiction. His fiction's great. His nonfiction's better, my opinion. He did. So my favorite C.S. Lewis story was when London was being bombed. When London was actually being bombed by the Nazis, he would go on the BBC radio back in the 40s and actually read from his book, what would become Mere Christianity, on the air. It's one of the most, it's both the most absurd thing I've ever heard, but it's also the most amazing thing I've ever heard. It's absurd because in the midst of bombing, who is there to listen to him? On the other hand, what a better way to rebel against the heart of darkness. That is London at its darkest hour, and here he is talking about God in the darkness. I thought that is such an amazingly powerful moment. And when the pandemic happened, it was the initial thought I had, actually, when I started reading on the air. I started reading my first novel on the air the day after everything shut down, for that reason. So I say all that. I say all that to say, going back to why people are so pissed at him is he stood for something, right?
There's a
And
lot of
tying
people.
this up.
There's a lot of people who
No,
get pissed
no,
off.
but that's the nature of how this works. Look, if you take a stand on something, it doesn't matter what it is. Look, I got blocked on Twitter.
I guess it also doesn't make sense to me because, like, I don't think what Lewis was standing for was bad.
It doesn't matter, but that's the thing. It doesn't matter what he's like. Okay, I got blocked on Twitter from a friend over the weekend because I said Biden was as much a crook as Trump. She took that very personally. Okay, right? She took that very, very, very personally. That wasn't the intention. She asked the question, "Why is Trump getting more popular as a result of indictments?" And I said the reason being is because of the fact that Biden's a crook too, and people are looking at the disparity of what they're doing there. Now, again, now folks might listen to that and disagree with me. I would just simply say read what's been happening in the White House the last 2 weeks, right? So that's all I got to say there. What I will point out though is, I stood for something. Mm-hmm. It repulsed her completely out of my life. She didn't agree with it. And when you stand for something, it doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be that. You could stand the fact that, you know what, you don't wear white pants after Labor Day. Someone will be pissed off at you for it. Right? It's just the nature. The moment you take a stand on anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you're going to have people that like you, and you're going to be like, man, you're genuine, you're authentic, you're awesome. And then you're going to have people going like, man, I fucking hate you. Hate this guy, right? Because it's just how it works. By the way, I didn't tell you the best part of that story. The best part of that story is a couple of her followers harassed me for a little bit afterwards, right? Oh no, it was great. One of them had a legitimate point about one of my books, but he trashed my book on Twitter. He trashed me. He did all this stuff for 24 hours. But see, but no, it was great until I conceded the one point he could actually win on. Because by the end of it, I had modified his behavior. I had debunked his conspiracy argument, and I had actually I made him more polite. I debunked his conspiracy argument, and I got him to advertise my book before I finally conceded the point he was right on. I kind of won. So that's right. So all of which, so that's the thing, right? The people that despise you are you can use them too, and that's something like, you know, Howard Stern's done, Trump's done, other people have done as well. The more polarizing, but the way to be the way to be polarized, just stand for something. If you stand for anything, people will fight you.
I don't, but I'll slightly disagree and say I don't want to get too political here, but I will say I don't think Trump cares for anything except himself. So, but I guess that gets to your point. I mean, if he made a stand for himself, and I guess people don't like that.
Oh, okay. So, let's go with Trump the tactician. Forget his politics for just a second. Like, who cares? Who talks about him the most?
He does.
No.
Okay,
it's the people that hate him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or it's the people that hate him. Why?
I'm probably going to be off the mark here, but it's because he is such a polarizing figure.
Okay, that's partially true. But here's the thing. He has figured out how to tap. Like, I have said this to people. The best way to deal with Trump is to acknowledge him and walk away. Because you got to give the devil his due. He has been able to get literally millions of people to talk about him nonstop for years. And that is a testament to him. Because this is the one thing.
I'll give you that.
Oh, no. But again, for a guy like that who cares only about himself, to get that many people to talk about him, what an ego stroke. And that's seriously, that like you got to give the devil his due. Again, forget his politics.
I enjoy talking to you, Josh. You always give me different perspectives to think about.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is, right? he does, like, again, he'll talk about anything, say anything, do anything. The big thing about him today is that he appears different. He appears like to some degree, he appears like an underdog compared to what's there. That is part of his appeal as well. So you have to now. Personal note, I wouldn't vote for him because he's scum. But I can't make an argument for the other side either, and that's the problem.
Not to cut back into
sure
Transmet, but I remember I remember the Smilers kind of basically his cackling supervillain rant, where he basically goes, "I hate all of you." And he basically just says, I hate every single fucking one of you and I want to be president. That's the reason he wants to be president, because he just wants to hurt people.
Well, sure. But I mean, he's very, 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 like, that, okay, same thing, like, okay, you want to do the Transmet example? It was when he found out how dirty the Smiler was. As bad as the Beast was, right, the Smiler was actually worse.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's also one of the few points I think Spider was just caught off guard.
Sure. Well, no. Well, not quite. Like he said it. Like I think the panel in the comic that describes this point so well is the convention when he's going to the political convention thing with Smiler when he's getting nominated. He goes, to get this far, politicians must take part in the game called Pleasure Group Deck. This is literally from the comic, folks. I'm not making any damn thing up. But the thing is, it looks so. And this is a credit to Robertson. It looks so artificial. It looks so artificial. He goes, I so badly want to kill everyone in this room, even the children, especially the children is actually in there. Right, because it is the most. It's one of the fakest things ever. Like, he knew the Smiler was crooked even from the very beginning. Like, he knew it. Like, after the first meeting when he source gassed him. Wait, like,
yeah.
he
if
knew.
I remember right,
he knew.
He even has his wife and children killed to get sympathy points. Which you're like,
that's later. No. Well, no.
Monster.
Oh no, he totally is. He didn't realize how corrupt he was until Vita got killed. That was the thing. Like, Vita was the thing that threw him for a loop.
Well, yeah, he knew. I'll give you that. I do think he knew that, like, but I think he thought he was, like, crooked in the same way he thought the Beast was crooked.
Yeah. No, that's literally what happened. Like, when you get to that point in the story, he's just another crooked politician until Vita dies. So you watch Vita's death, and then you're like, well, shit. Like, right? And something we mentioned last time, in an odd way, Spider is responsible for the Smile being as.
Yeah, yeah. Because he endorsed him, right? Like, he endorses.
No, he didn't. He didn't endorse him. He gave him the closest thing he could. He could to an endorsement. Again, from a credibility standpoint, a journalist shouldn't endorse a candidate ever.
That's true.
Ever. Right. But you can, again, he pointed out what the Beast did during his time by showing, like, the neighborhood in there, like, the worst of the day, right? And just pointing out, like, this is what this guy, and you voted this in, and how do we fix it? Well, vote it out, right? That was the closest, right? So that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to look at all of these guys, and go, okay, what did they do great? What did they do badly? And when you look at it, right, that's what a journalist covering politics should do. That is not what we do today. We talk about stupid shit all the fucking time.
It's funny, one of my favorite moments from the series is when he actually interviews the Beast. And I mentioned this last time, but he learns that I wonder, this is kind of a quick aside, I haven't read this book, but I, like, know of this scene, but from Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, there's one part where Hunter actually interviewed Nixon, and he found out they both loved football. I would be very surprised if that didn't inspire Warren Ellis when he wrote that interview. Because it's a similar thing. They're discovering a mutual humanity to themselves. Because Spider realizes this guy is just as jaded and pissed off and cynical as I am. Except...
Oh, no, he's worse than Spider. He's worse than Spider is.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Except the Beast has just given up and has just gone along with it. And Spider continues to rail against it because it's kind of all he has, really.
Well, no. See, I don't. No. I think they understand each other.
Yeah.
Spider had that's one of my favorite parts of the series too, for a couple of reasons. The Beast asked more questions than Spider did.
Yeah.
Which I thought was Spider only asked one question that entire.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. And no, he made a very human. He made the Beast more sympathetic in that moment because he's not trying to save the world. He's not trying to be this mighty guy. He's doing, in one sense, you understand the Beast is on it. In one really real sense, in that he's an open scumbag, he's an open.
He says something to the effect of, "I keep these amount of people alive. I'm good. If I can keep these amount of people alive and doing what they do, my job's done." Yeah. I'm probably horribly butchering that, but that's basically the sentiment of what he says.
Oh, yeah. Again, he's not trying to save the world. He's just trying to maintain... He's just trying to keep the world running. That's all he doesn't give a shit about anything else. That's the thing about... That now, he's trying to profit from it. He's not above making a buck doing it. He's not above... But he's an honest scumbag. That's how I look at it. Like he is going after the Australian horse. He is, trying to do illegal things with campaign contributions.
That's another one of my favorite moments when he makes him shit himself at the very beginning.
Oh yeah, no, but I mean that was the introduction to the character, right? Goddamn, they walk. Both of them are just. Well, Spider just happens to walk in when he's using. Oh my god! Okay, but that's who he is.
He's like Jerusalem.
Yeah. No, it's just they had a history of mutual loathing, right? But
he called me the Beast, you fuck. He's like, quit your whining. You deserved every fucking word of it. And I'm like, yes.
That's not the funny part. Pardon me, everybody calls me the Beast. Like my children call me the Beast, and I'm just like, that's.
The Beast. That is kind of sad. That is.
Well, no, but that's the thing. Like it was an apt name for him. It really was.
He's like,
so
you have my children calling me the Beast, you fuck.
Well, no. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's the whole thing there, right? That, I mean, he is an openly corrupt piece of shit, but he's an honest, openly corrupt piece of shit, right? Smiler's just crazy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like why. Again, I don't want to get too political, but it's kind of like with Trump, because everyone's like, "Oh, at least he's honest," and I'm like, guys, just because he's more honest with his assholeness, it doesn't make things better. And that's what Transmet is saying. It's like, that's not okay.
So
it makes him human, but it doesn't make him like a good guy or anything. I don't think you're saying that, by the way.
No, it's not that. It's no. It's American politics is interesting because depending on who you are rooting for, right? Who you are rooting for, you tend to look at things a certain lens. Again, I call myself an atheist. The reason why is I put both candidates through the same lens. They fail in the exact same way. So to me, there's no difference. Right? So that's my perspective. They fail the exact same way. neither of them should be running, neither in a position. It's a joke that they are, but it is what it is. I don't think Trump's a good guy. Biden's a good guy. I think they are both businessmen exploiting the system to their own ends. Right? That's how I see it. And that, like it or lump it, right? That's the politics of today, right? The difference between that and the comic is if you're looking for an idealized change comes not from change comes from people knowing the truth of that.
It's kind of like which is funny I mentioned this because there's a three-eyed smiley face and which is totally, I'd be very surprised if it weren't a reference to Watchmen, but it's kind of like what Watchmen's saying. We can't, it's saying like, except, Watchmen is saying we can't depend on these, superheroes to save us. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. Look, no one's going to give a shit about you more than you are. Like, outside your family, right? So maybe your family, that's it. People don't care. And I'm not saying that's in even a callous way. I'm saying this in like, look, we're trying to pay the bills. We're trying to survive. We're trying to do whatever we can. The last thing we're going to do, we're doing everything we can just to survive ourselves. How the fuck can we worry about somebody else? That's the world we live in today. Now, we have good, now again, I say this, like, there are good people and there are good people that will look out for you and stuff like that, but it is not a common thing. It's a blessing when you do have those people in your life. But, okay, like, honestly, barring maybe your local congressman, does any of these politicians know your name? Do they give a shit?
Probably not.
Then why would they then why would they honestly look at your problems as a human one?
I remember something you said in our Fahrenheit 451 conversation about how you could easily disprove conspiracy by showing you just the politicians, what they say and what they think.
Yeah.
And it just, that's kind of my perspective. I'm like, Josh, we always, it reminds me of something George Carlin always once said. And it's sort of something I got from it is like everyone blames the politicians, but you're letting it happen. You're allowing this. You're voting them in. So stop do something about it. Don't just fucking bitch about it.
Well, but this goes back to journalism, ultimately. Like, this is the thing. If the objective of journalism is to inform the public, then
and call them in
journalism... Well, then, by and large, then the journalism today you see on television has failed miserably.
What? You shouldn't call people into action?
No. I would argue. No. Here's what I'm not talking to people on Substack or people doing independent journalism, because I think that in itself is a fascinating conversation for another day. but no, because I think some magical something you'll ever see on your television screen.
On the independent
he did at the end of the series.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't he do? Why wouldn't he do it here? Like, if you're looking at it strictly speaking from a passion perspective, right? People that really care about the truth are going to go find their own. Again, they're going to seek from themselves. That's just the way it is. You're like, no one's going to tell you why income tax exists. No one's going to tell you how to file your taxes. No one's going to teach you anything. They're not obligated to. No one is. Right? You have to make a conscious decision as a person to be informed, to be willing to be informed, right? About something. You got to care. Like, that's the idea. You have to care about something. Because if you don't, then what's the point? Right? So, and journalism is supposed to be, again, going back to what the series is ultimately about, passion changing the world for the better. Spider didn't want to change it. He just wanted to live drag back down to deal with what you got to deal with, right? That's why you hate.
if I remember right.
He owes them 2 books, and
Yeah, 2 books.
and by the way, when the series ends, he sells them.
He publishes them. You said that's right.
No, he owes them a book. He got one of them out, but not the other. And
series maybe no.
If they ever, no, it was a way, like, I can see a world in which Warren and Darick go back and tell a smaller story of Transmetropolitan, like it might be a 1-year arc kind of deal.
Yeah, probably.
Kind of like,
or like a 12-issue.
well, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. Like when the series ends, he still owes a publisher. The only reason he got out of it was faked his medical condition, at least a little bit.
Yeah.
So I mean, he faked it. He got out of jail free, kind of, sort of, and but if they ever find out, he'll have to go back to the city again to finish that last book. So I mean, there is probably another story set somewhere in that universe someday.
Oh,
back to.
I do find it kind of hilarious. I don't know if Warren would do it because he talks a lot of shit about Spider Jerusalem. He's always like, this fucking guy. He's a bastard. Oh my god.
Well, yeah, but no, he totally could. Like, he can make a kindler, gentle.
Oh no, Spider is a bastard. I'm not saying he ain't.
He can make Spider like he could do like a Dark Knight Return, make Spider a kindler, gentler bastard, right? You could just totally do that. It's like, I mean,
Batman
you could have some
kinder and gentler in Dark Knight.
No, he might. No. See, getting a little older, you do melt a little bit, right? But the difference is what pisses you off when you get older is you don't want people just to half-ass things anymore. With you're just like, okay, if you're in your chair with shoes, just pick one. Don't put the half foot in, half foot up. Don't put your foot. Make a decision. I'll respect it either way. Just make a fucking decision, right? That's it. That is all. That's the old guys. This is what happens with old guys. And I speak. We lose patience with fast bullshit. Oh, we'll get together some. No, fuck off. Now or now, right? So now, right. Like now or never. Like we don't have time to. We don't got time for this shit. So make a decision. Make a stand. That's all you got to do. Make Spider a little bit more impatient, and you can bring out a slightly kindler, gentler version of him. It's possible, not completely, but I mean, you could do it.
Though I guess if you're considering, if you consider All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, as part of the canon, I guess he did become kindler, gentler in his old age because the Batman in that is a freaking maniac, and I love it.
Well, yeah, it's because it's Frank Miller's Batman. Of course he's a fucking maniac, right? And I mean, again, going back to that whole concept for a second, of course, right? Because you're looking at the fact that, like, again, he can't do everything he used to do. He's got to be a little bit. In some ways, he's got to be more patient in certain ways because he knows what he can do. But as you get older, you become more confident in who you are and who you're not, and you're just more deliberate. You don't give a shit, right? Quite so much, and in the right ways, for the most part. Sometimes I might be a supervillain in 50. It's entirely a possibility. You're laughing because you could see it. So, right.
I'm saying nothing. I'm saying nothing.
It's okay. You're loud. It's in your head, and it's not going to leave you. Obnoxious Rip Kate and everything. I just refuse to talk about it in third person. But I say it like that because I just realized, like, where I'm at now is I don't want to waste time. Like, I don't. Like, I am so invested in the moment. I'm so invested in accomplishing what I want to accomplish. I don't want to wait anymore. Like, we don't have time.
Yeah. I'll go into this part with a question. Like, what do you think pisses Spider off so much? Because
what? Excuse me.
Or sorry, my mic slipped. What do you think pisses Spider off so much about the world?
It's full of shit. That I mean, really, when it comes right down to it, like, look. I said this earlier, right? I said this earlier with the politicians. If a politician told me that the sky was blue, I'd be scared of what they're hiding if I agreed with them. Like you're laughing, but there's
I
a
know,
little.
it's just like
It's an but the element of truth to this is, I have been lied to about this is my feeling. I have been lied to about so many things in my life. I'm sick of it. Like, don't bullshit me. Just tell me where you stand. You know what? You can hate my guts. You want me, right? You can hate my fucking guts. I will respect the fact that you told me this. Now, I'll treat you accordingly afterwards, too, because I don't have time to fuck around. I had a living space situation a few months back. And to the gentleman's credit that I was living with, he said that basically, even though I was paying rent, that none of the things he was doing for the 2 months had any consideration to me, and he was done with me. Hey, at least I knew where I stood. That was wonderful. I knew how I treated him afterwards. He probably wished he was being a little bit more diplomatic about it, a little bit, right? But at least I knew, right? There was no BS anymore. There was relief. I knew where I stood, and you have to understand this with human beings. We don't generally care that much. I don't generally care that much that, again, at this point, whether you like me, you hate me, you say I approve me, you disapprove me, I don't give a damn. What I care about is, are you being honest with me? Because the thing about honesty ultimately, honesty and integrity, respect. Do you respect yourself enough to tell me where I stand? Because the answer is yes. The answer is absolutely. Then we're not gonna, we might disagree about shit, but honestly, it's minutia. I know where you stand, and that is such a relief. I go out into the world today, and I can see it. It's just like everybody lies, and
to quote House.
I can. What?
You ever seen House? He says that a lot.
No. Babylon 5 says that too. Garibaldi.
I haven't seen
Garibaldi says
but...
yeah. So yeah, Garibaldi. Oh no, it's thing. But again, there's such a thing as, do you have enough self-respect to be honest? If the answer is yes, then I'll have nothing but respect for you, even if I despise you, right? I'll respect where you're coming from, if nothing else. That's the thing. Like, I want a world like, and this is what Spider wants. Don't bullshit. Just tell the truth. I could look. The one thing about that whole deal, when Spider was interviewing this Smiler, he was actually smiling with the Smiler, even though they despised each other, because the Smiler wasn't bullshitting him. There was no bullshit. It was just two people telling it the way it was, right? It's true.
No,
if you look at
it reminds me of the scene where, again, he's going on his fucking supervillain rant, and he tells his director to get him a cat. It's like he's a fucking maniac, and I love the Smiler as much as I'm fucking terrified of him.
Well, because there's no bullshit with him, right? There's really no bullshit with him, right?
Well,
the moment the facade drops, once the facade is gone, there's no bullshit with him. You know who he is.
That's true. Yeah.
Right.
But
and the thing is, if you
look
look,
of other people though.
Well, no. Again, he plays a public appearance thing. But look, when Spider came to him, okay, I'll tell you a real life story here. I did a job interview for a job in Windsor, and I broke the guy interviewing me. I broke him because I was honest. He was talking about like the job, and they asked me what I was good at and all that stuff, and I just answered the questions honestly. I don't. It's just who I am. I just answered them honestly. At one point, one of the guys doing the interview just started breaking down and laughing. It wasn't particularly funny. He was like, "Bullshit with you. I love this," right? Because it is such a refreshing. Honestly, that's the thing. Like, that's what pisses Spider off. It's not how fucked up the world is. It's that people lie about it all the fucking time.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Though I would also say he's also pretty pissed off about how the world is. And
sure,
nobody,
but I
nobody
mean,
cares enough to try and like stop it.
that's not entirely true. That's the thing about the first arc. Like, so the most honest thing in there is the Angels 8 Riot issue 3, or the conclusion of the first story.
Yeah, it's
where the
great
police
one.
are beating. Yeah, right. Police are beating the transient. Okay, and you know, he writes. He's doing this column live on the roof, and he's just talking about everything he's seeing. He goes, "Oh, you like what you've seen? Good. This with your science. See, here's how it works. Tell you what to do. This goes everything we've been the whole time. People already tell you what to do, and you take it. Whether it's the guy at the toll booth, your boss, like all these people that have no business telling you anything, right? Have no fucking business, and they're doing it, and you let them. What ended up happening was that enough people complained, and the police were called off, and it wrecked the police's reputation, right? So, but that whole speech, that's pure Warren, right?
Yeah.
You like this? Good. You earned it with your silence. That's the thing. Like we as a culture are so used to, again, following authority. I think the last few years have kind of woken people up from that a little bit. I again, where I'm at, I don't know. I don't think you're quite where I'm at.
Probably not.
But
no.
Yeah.
I still get
but
caught
you
up
will.
with that. That's
You will.
Even though I generally don't like anyone because they do the same shit. Like there's parts that just annoy me more because I have to deal with the. You know what? I think that's what pisses Spider off. He has to go back to this fucking city and see all this shit every day of his life. See all these people who are spewing all this bullshit going on with their lives, and he hates them all. Kind of.
He doesn't hate people. He doesn't hate people. He hates the place. He does hate a lot of it. He does not.
He
doesn't quite. No, he does. No. See, he was very honest about this. There's a scene in I think Volume 4, where he talks about people being weak and tired.
Or I should say he hates how people. This is something that frustrates me as well. He hates it's like what you've been kind of talking about. He hates that there are people who take sides, but they're not really, they're both fucking you. What, like,
well,
why the fuck are you, why are you settling for this? I think that's what pisses him off.
Oh, sure, to some degree.
Why do you settle for
some
this?
degree. Well, that's it.
It's like, we have the power to change the world, and you're not doing it. Because it's hard, ultimately.
Sure.
That's me talking. I don't know if that's him saying that. He'd probably
no. I mean,
vanity than I am.
Well, no. Here's the thing. In today's world, any world, if you want to change something in your life, you have to be willing to give something up. If you're comfortable with your life, that's going to be harder to do. And people are comfortable. Even now, people are comfortable. It's weird, but it's the truth.
Yeah, no. I remember I talked with my dad, because I'll sometimes post on I'll sometimes navel gaze on Facebook, as they say. And my dad's like, well, Britain, what you should do is you should just, you should talk about what you basically what he was saying is that you should worry about what you can't control. And he's right. But the problem with that for me is that, like, I think there has to be something better than this. I mean, the world could be a lot worse, but it could be a lot better too.
Well. Welcome to the human condition.
That might be that also might be the suppressed idealism inside of me talking, but
no, it's not. That is like. First off, you're a cynic. I've said this to cynics. You're a cynic. You're a wimp.
I'm not a cynic.
Yeah, huh?
No,
but see, idealism's
I
we
am a
default.
beleaguered optimist, sir. And
Okay, beleaguered optimist.
You might laugh at me, but that's the truth.
No.
I genuinely, in my heart, want to see the best in people, but at the same
Sure.
time, it can be really hard. It's
And that, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. No, I think
there are days where I was actually thinking about what you said the other day. A quote from Transmet where he's like, sometimes I can see why the Beast and Smiler hates you all.
Yeah, and that's why Spider doesn't. I say that quote right there is why Spider doesn't hate people. That's the argument that he never does. Right there.
So you're saying he doesn't hate people?
He doesn't hate people.
He has remarkably little patience with them, though.
He has remarkable patience with bullshit.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, right. He doesn't have.
I don't have to put up with any of this shabby crap. I'm a journalist.
But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it, right? I mean, he's a character. Certainly, he's eccentric as fuck.
Yeah,
but
that's a way of putting it. He's a fucking
he's eccentric. Yeah, but I mean, he has to be. I mean, the one thing as I've gotten older, the angels and the devils of our nature, we need both. We need both. The devils in our nature are there to, if we learn how to master them, right? And that's something that now that doesn't mean you can't own your shit. I mean, Spider, for example, more often not, but sometimes they ask Yelena would give him shit sometimes in the books about some of his. Not that hers were any better in some ways.
Yeah.
Isn't he in a unique position? The phone, for example, having the phone trait put inside her, right? And she made fun about fuck with right there, but it's like, I heard that. He goes, you were supposed to, and that was the thing, right? Right. But that's the thing. They could talk shit about each other, and they both have, again, everybody there have, they're all maniacs, but in some fashion.
I mean, there's a guy who literally looks part gray alien called Fred Christ, and he is a fucking maniac as well.
Oh no. I mean, well, no. Fred's probably the most consistent scumbag in the entire series.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also, it's also kind of aged very poorly, but I won't go into that.
Well, yeah, no, I know that. In some ways, it hasn't aged as well as it should have, but in other ways, it's aged too well. But that's neither here nor there. What I will say is, the way that was done, the way they portrayed that. Again, there's a lot of thought. The world building there is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
But Spider was who he was because that was who he had to be to survive in the city he despised.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but he had to be who he was. And
I enjoy that the series doesn't make Spider out to be this. He's not. This series is not trying to say he's a paragon, but they don't try to make him this badass, standing up against the evil empire. It does show that he's kind of a dick, and he has hurt people. Sometimes not me.
Oh, he'll do anything.
But
he'll do anything for a story. That's the one thing about him. That's his worst quality, right?
Yeah, exactly. And there's the one about one of his filthy assistants who became a porn lady, a pornographer. Because I find the term porn star very sleazy.
But it was kind of, the whole thing is sleazy. I mean, it's not even.
But I don't like that term, man. I really don't.
Okay.
Personally.
I mean, First off, it's how she's described herself. Second off, I mean, she was part of the group that had it actually frame Spider. I mean, she framed him. Okay, think about this, okay?
Yes.
She framed him. She married one guys up, right? She worked real hard Her, she was like, I knew I slipped up, but I was so happy I couldn't help my. And then she talks about what happened to her, and then you feel for her a little bit. I mean, at that point, you're just like, well, what? I mean, if you're gonna do something like that, do something.
Another
Like,
great
do
moment is
something.
when that headless child shows up and tries to kill Spider, and then Royce, without missing a beat's just like, I'm kind of. You have to admit, Spider, it was conceivable that you would eventually have a kid that has no head.
No. The exact quote was, "With your history of drug use," right, and that was fair, right?
Fucking hilarious.
But no, but I mean that whole arc, that's the first year, that whole finale is messed up. It is it's a combination of everything that could go wrong. It's everything from a police dog that has a seizure every time he hears Spider's name, actually talking, right? And then after that, the kid with no head, the frame up, everything. Just the fact he ended up in a public bathroom and kind of liked it for the privacy. And they get dragged off. His wife is in cryo that wants him dead, but refuses to come back while he's alive. So there's all this weird shit in this arc, and it's fun. It's a good way. It's a good way to end the first year.
I mean, there's still some depraved shit in the later arcs, like when.
Oh, there's all kinds of depraved shit. What are you talking about?
Fucking beats himself off to the American flag. Like, you can't get any more wacky than that.
I don't know. There's a few other ones. There's a few other situations there. There's that, but there's also, I mean. There's his two, like, that when he goes on his own in Independence, the two people he ended up working with. I mean, they ended up having crazy sex after their numbers spiked through the roof. Then after there's Royce, like the Royce one-shot adventure. Mr. Royce, two-fisted editor, and that whole arc, and then just horrifying stuff, right? And
it's not the Smiler in general. This just fucking. And you know what's sad about the Smiler? I can definitely, in our environment, I can definitely see someone like him taking over.
What makes you think that hasn't already existed?
Well, I guess like Andrew Jackson maybe could come closest to being like the Smiler, because he was a fucking crazy man. But I don't know. You should look up.
You should look up Woodrow Wilson sometime.
Oh yeah, Woodrow Wilson was a really terrible guy.
Really? Yeah. No, Woodrow Wilson is as bad as you can get. I mean, Lord knows, like.
He re-legitimatized, or I just quoted Trump there. He re-legitimized the KKK, but again, I don't want to get into my Wilson hate boner.
Are probably the worst president in the United States history, bar none.
Agreed. I mean, you
can
say Buchanan, but you can't be Wilson.
No. It's Wilson. So, but I mean, that's the thing. Like,
so bad.
Well, no, it's like you've had monsters in the office before. I think the thing is, again,
Andrew Johnson as well was pretty terrible.
They're all terrible, dude. They're all terrible. That's my point.
Like Theodore Roosevelt and Abraham Lincoln, I think those are quality presidents.
Lincoln was good. Roosevelt was good. Kennedy was okay. He wasn't perfect, but he was okay. I mean, this is a short list here. Have you noticed this? This is a very, very, very short.
George Washington.
Maybe.
I don't know about George. I don't know about Thomas Jefferson. Because Thomas Jefferson's a weird character.
Dude, I'm a Canadian. My longest reigning prime minister talked to a crystal ball. I cannot. Like this is the point.
One of my senators pulled out a snowball to disprove climate change about 10 years ago. So I mean, it can't get any worse than that.
Well, what? You're making a point for me here, bud. Like, how you're making my point for me. Like the idea, the thing is, you have Mitch McConnell. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, he's a fucking
yeah. I
clown.
mean, yeah, right. You know, you have Biden. You've had Trump. I mean, Obama isn't a saint by any stretch of the imagination. I
Yeah, he
mean,
was okay. I thought he
n-
was okay.
you have drone warfare thanks to him.
That's
That's
true. Yeah.
boy was a gangster. Like, don't like. I mean, I'm not. Again, was he the worst gangster we've ever had? Maybe not. But I
But going back,
like I said,
going back to the Smiler, he's becoming more plausible by the day. It seems. Now
well, but the thing is,
plenty of
I just made him.
We've had plenty of
But
beasts, I think.
oh, I would argue. But again, going back to my initial point, we've already had Smilers. I mean, I think that's the whole point, though.
But do you think someone is just murderously insane as he is, though? Maybe Andrew Jackson.
Yeah, no, dude, look at your history. Like, look at your history. You have one of the. I mean, you've had some nasty, nasty men in charge of the country.
Yeah, I mean, Woodrow Wilson is definitely on that list for me.
Yeah, so I mean, you've had Smilers, you've had Beasts.
We've had a lot of beasts. I mean, and not just Nixon, who he was clearly an ex-B from.
But no, I'm just saying, like, if you look at this, if you're being very honest, as the one thing is, now, do they have all those wonderful crooks, like crooks and nannies of the Smiler? Maybe not. But do I think we've had some bipolar presidents? Yes. Do I think we've had some? Do I think we've had
presidents? Definitely. Oh my God, our last president was a fucking.
Yeah, but all of which to say is, if you're arguing that, like, could our politicians be this monsters today? I think the argument is, yeah, they already are. I think we just got to be on. I think we can't live in denial anymore with what we're seeing.
Yeah, no, like another one of the good moments is when, or not really, I guess not good moment because it's pretty terrifying, but it's basically when I don't mean to laugh, but it's basically when the Smiler just goes, "You've been fucking with me, Spider," and basically he's like, "You're not gonna get sick, and you're not gonna get sick and get away with it," pretty much, because you keep. It's basically you're meddling in my affairs, and I'm gonna fuck you.
Well, but I mean, that was always, like, he told them, "I'm going to take some special time to skull fuck you to death." Like, he pretty much told them that, right?
Yeah.
Right. He was open about it. Like I said, there was an honesty to him. There was. I mean, that was even right. The smile.
I mean, the Smiler's a demented maniac, and that's just it.
Of course. But I mean, like I said, if you look around today and you look at who we have in charge and all that stuff, like, the monsters are real, man. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The monsters are real.
I mean, yeah, sure. It's definitely. Oh God. I mean, it's crazy, but yeah, I think the Smiler is one of the most terrifying comic villains that we've ever seen, that I've seen anyway, in my lifetime. I mean, there's definitely others you could probably name, like the Joker or Negan.
Nah.
Or no, not even Negan, the Governor.
Governor's probably the worst villain I've ever seen in comics.
You mean like worst in quality, or just worst in like just mean?
The meanness.
Oh, okay.
I was about to
say, okay, he might not be the most complex character, but he was probably the biggest bad of that series before Negan showed up.
Yeah, well, no, he is in many ways probably an apex of that. Like, not going to Walking Dead too much, but he's the apex of that show. Not that show, that person,
well, I think he's
because
even
he
more
was
terrifying in the show.
Yeah, because but that's what makes the Governor, like, he's nuts, but he's mean. Like he was cruel to it, but like it was almost inhumane. Like, that's how much of a monster he was. The Smiler in
Smiler though.
The difference between
son of a bitch.
Well, no, demented, mean.
Demented, yeah.
Demented, yes. Mean, not as mean. He was. Smiler tended to let other people do his dirty work. Governor relished the dirty work.
That's true. He cut off Rick. In the comics, anyway, he's way more fucking crazy than he is in the show. In the show, like,
Yeah.
I think in the show he's more terrifying because he's more plausible.
Well, again, the
I could
extremes
see
aren't
David
there.
Morrissey walking around seducing people and letting him into positions of authority
Yeah.
as easily as But the Smiler, he's just fucking maniac.
Well, no, but because again, I think the important thing that needs to be understood here is the big difference between the governor and the Smiler is the governor is how you knew him more by his human name. Smiler is always the Smiler.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of the beasts just flipping off the audience while they're pelting him with just meat or whatever the hell they're.
Well, yeah, when he loses the election, right?
Yeah,
Fuck all you is what he
he's
says.
Like, fuck all you bitches. I'm out of here, bro.
Well, yeah, I mean he's done. He's done, right? I mean,
it's great.
it is what it is.
Transmet is fucking hilarious. I'm just gonna say it.
It has its moments. It has its moments for sure.
Hilarious. Like it's, and like I generally am not a fan of shit jokes, but like when he makes the president shit himself, that makes me fucking laugh. Like it's just.
Well, it's legitimately funny because of how he did it. It wasn't just that he made him
too. Just how Spider can curse. That man can curse like. Maybe Garth Ennis's characters can curse as creatively as he can, and that's why I love him.
Garth's crasser than Ellis has a humor that Ennis doesn't have. That's the difference between them.
Sure.
That's the difference.
I do compare.
Ennis can be fun,
but
well, Ennis can be funny, but he's not like Ennis is better suited for honestly. More romantic, like he takes himself more seriously, sure. I think, than Ellis does.
I agree with that. Yeah.
Right. Ellis just copes with trauma like I do, and he laughs about it.
So, are you saying that when you are a supervillain, you're basically gonna be the Joker in 10 years?
No, Joker. Joker's laughing. Boring.
So you're gonna be the Smiler? You're gonna be the Smiler?
No. Probably be closer to Dr. Doom.
Just gonna take over the fucking world. Oh god.
Yeah, so.
Dude, imagine the stuff he could do if he weren't such an egomaniacal, just maniac.
Doom does amazing things. That's part of his tragedy. Is Latveria is a culture he runs. If he runs the country well, he's got kind of like a Dracula vibe with him a little bit with that. I mean, the most obnoxious thing about Doom, honestly, is that he talks to himself in the third person. And will not cross that line. The obnoxious cape, maybe, but not the line.
With Doom.
Because I mean, again, it makes him I don't think I'd be so into myself that I'd talk to myself in the third person.
I'll say it's his ego where he goes wrong. In all honesty.
Well, his ego is his fundamental flaw, but he does great things. That's the thing about Doom, is he actually does great things. Doom and Magneto are the same in that sense, in that they both do amazing things that are good. But in spite of that, they do some horrible shit in there as well. It's like it's and both its ego, but slightly different.
Could you repeat that? Your mic cut out for a minute.
So one is completely about their pride, that's Doom, and one's completely about their anger, which is Magneto. But they both they are people that could potentially be great, but cannot get out of their own way.
Yeah, I agree. I love Magneto, but you know.
Yeah, I do too.
He's probably he's in my top 5 favorite comic book villains of all time. Definitely.
And he's got the obnoxious cape to boot, like the complete obnoxious.
And the fucking helmet too. Oh my god.
Well, the helmet at least makes sense in the comic. I mean, at least makes sense, right? I don't think he'd wear the helmet if he. Right. So.
Well, yeah. So Charles can't influence him.
Yeah, exactly. That's why he's wearing like the cape's obnoxious. The helmet at least is somewhat powerful.
It's also, how can he levitate and fly? He can control magnetism. But anyway, another one of my favorite moments is I'm looking at it right now. It's when Spider gets the fake beard and he dresses up like a holy man and just starts beating up everybody.
Oh, that's first year. Yes, that's first year. The religious one. That was good. I enjoyed that one more.
Warren Ellis really hates religion. That's another thing. I'm kind of
well, again,
not as much
we
as
want to talk
Venice, but
no. I see. Respecting people that genuinely believe is easy. Respecting what they believe can be a lot harder.
Yeah.
Especially if they don't have a concept for it. But I mean, talking again, this goes back to something I said earlier. People that stand for something will have people that love them and people that detract from them. Just the way it goes.
Mm-hmm. I don't know who you were referring to. You mean Spider?
No, I'm talking about Ellis, Ennis, and Ellis.
Oh,
like Ennis and Ellis, right? Because again, they are not necessarily for it, and I can definitely see why. Sometimes, like organized religion can feel like a big crock of shit too.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I believe in God, but I don't like that's the thing. I don't like organized religion. It's just a bunch of. They're missing the point, I think. We're really just crossing that line into just politics and religion tonight.
No, why not? You're dealing with. Look, okay, so I'll go all the way. We mentioned free speech earlier, right? Critical thinking comes when you're willing to go into uncomfortable places.
True. Yeah.
Right? So, you're a journalist. You can't avoid politics. If you want to be serious about changing the world, you can't avoid politics. You can't avoid religion. You can't avoid the world.
Sure. Yeah.
You have to look at the issues in the world today, and you have to look at them and form an opinion.
Mm-hmm. Right?
You don't. And the thing is, if you can go in with the mindset that I may not be right about this, but this is what I believe, right? You always have a bit of an open mind, which you need as a journalist. And if anything, I've gotten on you on that pretty hard sometimes, right? So, you need that. But you also need to stand, like the paradox is you need to believe in something, right? And if you don't have that, you can't do your job well. That means you got to be uncomfortable. You have to do journalism. You have to constantly face those things that push you, right? You can't run.
Yeah, exactly. Spider doesn't run. Despite the fact he tries. He chill out in his mountain and grow his Alan Moore beard and hair. He just wants to chill out and have a good time.
Well, that's why he called this publisher the whorehopper. I tried to fight, but like when he realized he goes like, first again, the first line there, contract. Yeah, I know, no, the first part of this. You said a hit, you bastards die if there's oxygen. You can't say no hitman after me. You bastards die. And the publisher was like,
now when you say that, it always makes me think of how there was a hit out for Spider and 200 people signed it because they wanted him to die.
I mean, tried to like there. The publisher had to kind of his tag. Okay, and it's like, would someone kill Spider Jerusalem? Yes. Okay, let's try that again. No, I mean your book contract.
Oh my
right?
God. Yeah.
Right?
You're basically trying to sucker him back in, and he's like, no.
No. I wasn't trying to suck. The first time, legitimately, like he came across kind of paranoid, and I said, okay, this tactic is not quite what we're here. They went this way. No, he said this. No, I mean a book contract. He's like, and then Spider was like, tried half-heartedly. I know contract. And then the publisher's like, okay, do you know lawsuit? Do you know debtor's prison. Do you know those things? Because, I mean, Spider-Man, the thing is, Spider-Man made a deal, and a deal's a deal. Right?
Sure, yeah. For all of Spider's spiderness, we'll say, he has integrity.
Yeah, he does. That's why he's got nobility to him, in spite of all his other bullshit.
That's why he's a compelling character, in my opinion.
It's one of two reasons, yes.
I wouldn't probably want to spend any time with the son of a bitch, but
yeah, you would. Don't lie.
Just maybe out of like curiosity, like Adam's apple.
No. See. I think deep down his miserableism would draw you in, and then you try to see if you could out.
He seems to me like one of those just miserable, angry bastards who wants everybody else to be as angry and miserable as he is.
No, he doesn't. He wants a better world. Like, honestly, he wants a better world. All right, he just wants a better world. Like, he's not.
What's their
he's
one
a
line?
bastard.
He's like, I wish I could be someone else. It hurts so bad.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, we all have that. We all have that. My favorite story though in Spiders, like in terms of like personal little like one and done stories, is the Christmas episode.
Oh my god, this cynical bastard hates Christmas. That was when I was like, you bastard, I hate you. How do you hate Christmas?
Oh, I understand it. I don't care for it too much either.
You don't. God, I love Christmas.
Dude.
I thought you were an idealist, man. Where is your heart, sir? Have you not a soul?
Because my parents got separated right around Christmas.
Oh,
so I don't know. It was so
damn you!
So,
now you make me feel like a dick.
you are a dick sometimes, Britton, but that's okay. That's why I like you.
We're dicks sometimes.
But some of what he says, like Christmas can be a brutal time. And I mean, if you can't go there and you can't do anything, right? It's the one time. And maybe rightfully some ways go spend time. Like I hated all the bullshit around Christmas. I love seeing my family. I haven't been able to go home for Christmas in a very long time. Partly because of the pandemic, partly because of other things. So I understood that part of it. I think the part that made me laugh about it, though, was the fact that his editor goes, I have a bomb in my brain, and it will go off if I repeat the occasion. He's a horrible thing to me. So, I mean, and that was that hilarious and also plausible, right? It just is plausible, right? So, I mean, it's that dark humor in the series, right? It has that ability to, again, make you laugh, but also kind of make you aware. I mean, fuck, his maker is on drugs all the fucking time in that series, right? I mean, this is nuts a book. Like, it's nuts all the way through. Like, I completely. But it's honest.
Thompson in the future. I think you've said a similar thing in our last.
Yeah, I did. That's the basic concept. But I mean, why it works? I mean, the concept's great, but it's the people that made it. Yeah. Like, it's totally the people that made it.
Can I just mention real quick how you mentioned this kind of earlier? But can I mention real quick how underrated Darick Robertson's art is in this? Because it's fucking great. I love how he makes everyone look ugly. I like how he manages to find the ugliness in people. Like, Spider's all pudgy, or the sweat going down the beast's face, or just him just looking like a fucking disheveled mess, or even just the world that he creates. It's very strange. It's very madcap and insane.
Well, it's imaginative. See, it's not the ugly I like. It's the everything in it. It's not just the ugly. He shows the ugly willingly. He shows the imperfections, obviously, but he also shows like the great little moments. Like, one of my favorite little art pieces in there is when the little girl goes to spider about lost teddy bear.
Yes, it's a great moment.
It is, and you know what? It's clean. It's pretty. It's actually like, in spite of everything, it's actually a moment.
There,
right?
Though, admittedly, there is a part of me that wonder, because I've seen the covers, but there is a part of me that wonders what it would have looked like if Frank Whiteley did the artwork.
No.
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 No. No.
No. Why not?
Because Quietly it's not Robertson.
That's true.
This is this isn't. It's not always about the aesthetic look. Quietly and Morrison fit better together. Robertson and Ellis in this particular case was the better choice.
Sure, but it's just more of like a just kind of thing I sometimes wonder about. It's not necessarily that I would prefer it that way. I think Robertson, what he did was great.
Look, if you want to see the Frank Wiley, they did Fangs fire the.
I was about to say, are you gonna mention All Star Superman? Because that's peak comic book literature.
No. I'm keeping it just Transmetropolitan. And Quietly, I think, did one piece of an issue, actually. It was the one where they made Spider a porn star. They did release his live documentary. Right. But, no, it wouldn't be. It's not. No, I am actually very happy that Quietly did not. Outside of that one episode. No, I don't want a Quietly cover. I love Clan. These people in this world, because in this world, again, it's not just Ellis's imagination. It's Robertson's depiction of the world that makes this work. This would not work. This would not work the same any other way. Not anybody else. I wanted that. Look, that's what the one shots, the anthologies, like the little, like the ones where he does the column issues, the one shot specials. He has one called I Hate It Here. Like, those have all the guest artists, doing all the pinup shots, and it kind of fits. It adds a little extra to the world, right? It's cool, but they're one shots. They're one shots for a reason. I mean, and it doesn't go against the current narrative in the art. It's a fun little piece for completionists and world builders. 1 through 60 is all you really need for the run, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah. No, that's a good way to describe it. But no, seriously though, Robertson is great on this. Yeah, I think this might be his best work, even over The Boys. And I like The Boys.
I actually think his Boys works better.
Really?
But I think it's
yeah. Crazy.
No, I think it's better because
I also enjoy his work on Punisher Born, because Garth Ennis's Punisher reigns supreme.
No, I honestly think The Boys is Robertson's best work because he does. Here's the other thing: he has such a good gift for parody.
That is true. Yep.
Yeah, right. And The Boys gave that room for that more. Spider. There's an exaggeration in Transmet, but The Boys, I kind of feel, is where Robertson. It's a shame his regular run got cut off when it did, because honestly, his work was so good. It's a shame. I think he only did 36 issues or 37 issues of the run, and it's a shame because he did so much in that series. The world being what it is, completely him, and it's so good. Weird book. I mean, don't get me wrong. The story beats Transmet's a better story, in my opinion. But the art, the world building, I think that's some of Robertson's best work.
Sure, yeah. Though he's also really good at parody in Transmet as well.
Oh, no, he is. But it was a different. Parody was a much bigger part of The Boys than it was Transmet.
Yeah, that's true.
Way bigger part. Part of it was mocking celebrity culture, and ironically, Robertson was very suited for that.
Oh yeah. All right, so I guess you mentioned one of your favorite moments, so I guess we'll go through this again. Favorite moments of Transmet. I'll let you go first. 'Cause...
Okay, so gouge away when Spider finally walks away from the column, the plant, like everything there.
Mm-hmm.
Him going out investigating, getting the story. It's a very short, but it's a culmination. That whole, I think that's maybe volume 6 of the trade for those. It's volume 6. It's volume 6. It's when Spider is confronted with they're trying to contain him publicly. Like again, I mentioned the issue. They turn him into a porn star. They turn him into so they turned him into a porn star. They did doing everything. Quietly discredit him, and he kind of has an epiphany moment with the whole M Notice thing, and he says, "Fuck." He leaks the unpublished column out into the open, and that's the turning point of the whole series. Right there, it's the one part of the series. Honestly, from that point on, it ratchets the whole tension of the series up. Because up until this point, there's a certain degree of cartoon goofiness in the first 5 volumes.
Yes,
right?
There is.
There is. That goes out the window in volume 6. Like it still has its absurdities here and there, but once he's on his own with Yelena and Janin, once they're on their own doing what they're doing, the book's more serious. There's a lot more tension because, and this is where arguably he's at his most. It's one thing to have a principle. The other part of it is when push comes to shove, will you stand by? He does. He walks away from everything. And he knew he was going to get. He knew it. He did it in such a way that publish it. I love that. Also, that little detail of Royce going to the owners of the stand is fantastic in journalism. Don't be weak. You call it like that whole little scene is so good. It was just so well done, and it's like that whole the volume is called Gouge Away. It's my favorite arc in the entire series. That whole thing is just so good. Everything after is a climax. Like everything afterwards, it gets more serious, it gets darker, more stakes as the series ramps up to conclusion. It's less funny, but it's that moment. That's the whole series turns in that arc. It's my favorite.
Very nice. I don't mean to laugh, but that was very well put. My favorite moments. Let's see. The prolapse, if you know, you know. When he meets Beast for the first time. I love when at the very beginning he goes to that bar and he's like, "Oh, you know what? That I actually enjoyed going there." Pulls out a rocket launcher, blows the fucking place up because I hate every one of those fucking bastards in there.
Well, it's also that the missile says "eat me." That's part of the gag as well. Just like, oh my god.
Yeah, he also I also like the little detail he has on his ass, "eat me" on it. I'm like, there's a part of me I'm like, should I be edgy enough to get that on my ass? No. I'm not as crazy
not
as
you, buddy. It's not. It's not you. Spider had issues, but
another one is the riot when he's writing down when he talks to the Beast when him and Beast have the interview.
Okay.
Not the one where he shits himself. I already mentioned that.
No.
The monstering speech. I love that one a lot.
Yeah.
Issue 8, the cryo freeze lady. That was really well done.
That might be the best single story in the entire series.
Heart wrenching too. Oh my god. So good.
That might be that might be the single best single story. But the first year was much more like Spider coming into the city being disjointed and interesting. So, but that's neither here nor there.
Like I mentioned the monstering speech, didn't I?
No, but I mean that's a fun. That's the last real fun romp Spider right there. That's the last real fun one.
I also like the one where Royce pretty much rips Spider a new one and just goes, you know what you do? You write the fucking stories. I do every fucking other thing else that you're not doing. So shut the fuck up.
The Mitchell Royce one shot, the two fisted editor
It's great. It's
fun.
great.
Is fun. Royce gets involved, does his own. He gets involved, does the actions. He saves Spider one last time. This is after he fired him, but it's fun because you get to see how demented Royce can be in some plays, and it's just like,
He's
my
a
God.
maniac.
Oh no, again. He had to manage. It takes a very special kind of nut job to manage Spider. It really does.
That's true. Yeah, every time he's like, "Where's my fucking column?" I like the like you mentioned earlier, the one with the little girl, and he gives her the bear. Or I think he gives her back to her mom.
Yeah, he does.
There's oh god, I don't know if it's a favorite moment, but it's one that really got me, and I think it got you as well. The sex trafficking one.
Sex trafficking one is that's a dark. If you want to, that might be the darkest story in the entire series.
Yeah. There's also that one moment with the girl who is basically prostituting herself, and then her mom is there, but it's not like her mom's like pimping her out. Like no. She's just there to make sure she gets there and back okay. And that is fucking heavy.
So the arc there, folks, is it's about child prostitution in the city, it is one of the darkest. Like, forget one scene there. It's one of the darkest like things you'll ever read. Like, it is.
Also, the ending, or well, hold on, not the ending yet. The Smiler supervillain speech about how he fucking hates everybody because I don't know. It's terrifying, but at the same time, there's an absurdity to it. Like, this guy can't be for fucking real.
Well, that's well. Also, he becomes unhinged. Like, the more like pressure was put on him, the more desperate he got, and it added up.
Exactly. He's just a fucking maniac, and I love that speech because it's just. For one, I do enjoy a well done cheesy supervillain. Or, well, I guess cheesy's not the right word, but I do enjoy me a good, like, just over the top supervillain monologue from every once in a while.
They can be good. They're hard for people to buy into. And the fact that he was so long.
Yeah, no, I love that he's just like, you know what? I hate every fucking one of you, so I'm gonna be president. It's basically just his excuse to hurt people, and it's just, oh god. Also, the ending, there is that kind of nitpicky part. I'm like, okay, that ended a little too well. That would probably not have ended as well in real life, but fuck it, it's fitting for the series. Of course, Spider would find a way to cheat out of dying from a terminal disease. And of course, 1%, baby. He's just
or something like 3%. It was like 3%. It was 3%. It was really good. It's like a ridiculously known number.
It's great.
Yeah, Yelena and Shannon. Instance.
It's great. Love it. It's so good.
Yeah. So. But yeah, no, like it was a story at the right place at the right time, and it a lot of the stories that have come out since probably would not have happened without something like Transmet existing. Warren Ellis does not get a lot of love for at this point in his career, and understandably so. And for some cases,
he's done some things that have disappointed me.
Well, again, this is just me being older and wiser and wiser. I understand why people.
I'm not trying to say I don't understand why people are mad. Like, I get if you don't want to read his work anymore. Like, I get that. Like, you know, that's fine. But I don't want that to take away, because I know Planetary's your favorite of Ellis's stuff, but Transmet is mine. I don't want Ellis's mistakes to rob me of the joy and the I don't want to say fun, because you know what, it was fun while it lasted. I guess in a really
no. So here's the thing, and it doesn't matter who the author is.
Because
like,
you see, Josh, I'm not a cynic. I want to see the best in people. I really do. I really do.
Okay.
You're a bastard.
I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say it like this. This is how I say it. Like, writing is a really interesting world in which people have the ability to touch you, to be touched by your words and your actions from a distance. They can feel your feelings, and it's a magical thing, actually, in some ways. And that doesn't take away from the fact that we're human beings that make all kinds of mistakes in life, like we do. We all do. Look, when it's all said and done, I have screwed up a lot. Right? I have screwed up a lot. I'm not defending it. I'm not attacking it. I have screwed up a lot. Some people are going to... Yep, and that adds
plenty more of mistakes in my life.
Oh, same here. That does not change. So, at some point, you as a person have to look at yourself and say, did I do the best I can? It's not about what other people think about this. It's about what you think and the impact you made. J.K. Rowling's far more devastating controversy. On the one hand, some things she's saying, kind of monstrous. But on the other hand, without her, there's no YA. There isn't. Not like we know it, at least.
At least YA market today, that is.
Well, no, that's my point. Like without her, it doesn't exist. So you can't.
Even though I don't agree with, or it's not like he said something stupid. I don't like what he did, of course, but I don't want that to take away from the beautiful and great stuff that he has also done.
Well, the thing is that it can't. Like this is the thing I think in the long run it can't, because it's done. Like, the thing is, Transmet's finished, Planetary's finished. There is no. His actions are his actions, and he's got to live with those.
Mm-hmm.
And the people he's hurt have the right to feel it. Again, it's about the impact we make with each other.
I mean, I read
the people hurt.
Sorry, continue what you were saying.
So it's about the impact we make with each other, and the fact is, anyone that despises him for what he's done, especially if they were his victims, can't hold it. Don't hold that against them. You can't.
I don't, and I don't want to sound like I am.
Oh no! Let me finish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I don't know him in that context. I don't know Rowling personally either. I really don't know where she sits or he sits. I don't know them. All I know is what apparently is said and read. That's it. I can't. So I gotta look and be honest with myself about what they stand for. Do I want to stand for what they stand for? Can I? And if not, that still doesn't take away from the fact that they did work that changed their industries. I said this earlier. Ellis is the most prolific writer of this era. It's not even close. Right? So he is the reason a lot of people currently in comics have a job.
Mm-hmm.
He is the reason. Because he gave them the opportunity to go in there. Now, that doesn't mean he didn't put out some prices. There's a lot of people that were hurt bad by what he did, too. So you take the good and you take the bad, and then everybody's got to make their own choices. It won't detract from what he's done, the work. And eventually the man will be forgotten and the work will remain.
Yeah. You know, I was going to say, you know, I was on his new blog, because he had a blog, but then he got rid of it, and then he has a new one. And he wrote an article about depression that I thought was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Very good stuff, and it's just like, you know, and it's that I didn't want to talk about the the stuff he did because, in all honesty, it's just I don't really. That's a whole other thing for another time. In all honesty, those are like emotions and things that I kind of just. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with it. I still.
But but that's the thing. You don't have to. Like you don't. You.
It might be easy for some people to let go. I have a hard time with it. I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay. So let me ask you this.
Oh God, he's
got
that little snicker in his. He's got that little thing in his eye.
Were you there?
No.
Do you know what fully happened?
I don't.
Then you don't have to judge.
Sure.
You don't. You're free not to. Like this idea. Like again, there's no one of us that there's a Bible thing. Like he who is the first stone.
Exactly. Yeah.
No. Right. Like all right. So I mean, I'm not. Again, I'm not.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not condone. Right.
I don't want to sound like I condone it or anything because I'm not.
No, it's not. But no, you're not condoning it. But you also like it doesn't touch you, right? Because his actions did certain people. Now they can feel what they want, and they should. I'm not gonna like, right.
I wouldn't walk up to one of the people he hurt and be like, "You shouldn't feel that way." I'm not gonna do that.
No. You absolutely not, and that includes their.
I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'm not going to.
No, exactly, because it's the same thing. Like you can't argue the impact. Can't be done, but I mean, at some done, it's out there. Like when does someone how does someone atone for that, and can they? If they can't, then at what point do you say, okay, how do you move on? Like it's at some point in the world, I'm going to be happy with what I've done, and again, I've hurt people. I've never on purpose, but that doesn't change the fact that I hurt people. Is that going to make me a great and wonderful human being at the end of the day? No, it's going to make me a human being like everything else. That's it. Right? That's all I can be. That's all I can do. I like shuddering in a world like this. I mean, what we all got to remember at the end of the day is, again, not condoning what he's done, but we all are going to hurt people in this life. And if we can forgive others, we can forgive ourselves. And that's kind of what I think. And learn and grow from our mistakes. If he's done that, there's really nothing else to say. Now, that all said, he goes back to doing that shit.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
You know what? Right. That's different. But
It's just.
Well, no. At that point, it is what it is. He is who he is. But I mean, there are people in the industry. There are people in the industry who's done far worse than he has. Sure. And right. And them get way more. We'll leave DC Comics out for.
Wait, what'd you say? Your mic cut off again.
We can leave DC. There's one editor in particular. I could definitely make a. And he kept his job after mystery for another day. But rat, like it's.
But I guess it's Yeah, there's just some days is kind of going back to Transmet real quick. Again, there's one of those days I'm just pissed off and hate everybody. But then there's sometimes I wake up, I'm like, you know what? There's still good people too, and that's worth preserving.
Mm-hmm. Is that the full statement about Transmet? What again? Transmet's ultimately about this. Do you want to see the truth? Do you want to be informed? And once you're informed, what do you do about it?
It's also about how we have the power to change the world.
Sure, all of us do.
We're not doing it, but we.
But
can.
I just, no. See, there I disagree with you. We are. You just. Well, no. That. At that point, it is what it is. He is who he is. But I mean, there are people in the industry. I could definitely make a. In. He kept his job after mystery for another day. But It's not. Look, you are never going to hear a story in today's media. You will not. That is not how the news cycle works today. If you want to see great things,
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way it is. And look, I went to San Diego Comic-Con this year. And I'm not just saying that to rub it in a little.
Uh-huh.
Right? But here's a little bit of magic that I so my first night there at the bus, and on the way there at the bus driver, me and him just started talking. Found out he was a double in Hollywood. He done his most famous thing was Ed Wood. Like, he was actually on there with Johnny Depp and
Wow.
yeah. So we just started talking about his movie career and his life. Honestly, man, that should change the world for him. Look, if you want to really change the world, truly change the world, go to people in your life and tell them how much you appreciate it. It changes the world big time. You know, that little thing can destroy the darkness. Find a joke you can laugh about. Terrible, dirty joke. Me with an obnoxious red kid. Right? See what that did? Made you laugh.
Yeah.
The world's not so bad if you can laugh at it, right?
Yeah.
The world changes all the time. But the thing is, in a social media age, in a digital age, it's easy to keep things out. But if you want to change the world, you have to into the world.
On that, I'd agree with you wholeheartedly. Wholeheartedly,
Yeah.
I mean to say.
There's magic there, man. You gotta find it.
I know. There, like I said, there's this sort of duality within me. There's a part of me that just gets up and just kind of like Spider, just fuck everybody. But then there's other days I'm like, you know what? It's not so bad. It's actually, I can deal with this.
It's like anything else. There's ups and there's downs, man. That's just the way it is. We don't live in a world. We don't live in just a world of. It's not just one way, right? It never has been and it never will be. It's an imperfect world, but what magic is that? The magic is that we will always change. As bad as things may get in the future, they'll be good again too. But you got to ride the wave, and you got to be willing to.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have any? Well, that was that. Well, like, what are some thoughts you have about Transmet you want to get out before we get going here? Because I'm starting to get really hungry.
I'm getting really hungry too. So I got a novel. You
told me the other day. You told me the other day in our Fahrenheit 451 conversation that you almost starved to death one time. And there's some days I just wake up. I'm like, what the fuck? How did that happen?
That's a conversation that we don't have time for that conversation
You know what?
today.
I'll talk with you about that later. But there's just some nights I'm like, what the fuck? You know?
Did in doing what I've done, I've learned to be tough. And then we'll just leave it. We'll leave it there. We'll leave that there. To put this in perspective, Transmet ultimately, like, to wrap this up, we've talked about journalism, changing the world, politics, other things as well. Transmetropolitan is about the world we see. I'm gonna go with Patrick Stewart. I've read this, seen these people. I've read that, and I have too. Everything Spiders talks about and sees. I mean, the world in the darkest moments, you can see the best, and that's the truth. That is very much Transmet. It shows ugly shit, but funny shit, hilarious shit, even moments of genuine happiness here and there, and it blows you away. And Spider's a bastard, but he's kind of our bastard, and that's why the series is.
Yeah, I remember you said something you were talking when you were talking about every day. It reminds me of a line from the end of True Detective. The light's winning. I don't know if you've ever seen the first season of True Detective, but
I'm not.
Oh, it's so good. But anyway, I know you're kind of averse to popular things nowadays, but
I'm not cool. I'm not. I'm not.
But there's a line at the end of that where he's like, "You're looking at it all wrong. Once there was only dark, but you ask me, the light's winning."
Yeah. No. It's the truth. Look, man. The world is what you make of it and what you see. Your challenge is to be willing to open your eyes, which is why I get on you about some shit sometimes, because you don't want to open your eyes just yet on some things. But when you do,
yeah, I'm a stubborn bastard.
And so am I. So
yeah, that's why we're friends.
All right, buddy. We gotta. I gotta get going.
Okay,
do you want me to plug?
Of course, but yeah, real quick, you wanna share your social media real quick.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a podcast. It is just Josh, and it's literally just finished its 1,000th episode. 1,000th episode. You can support, and I'm actually giving Mr. Britton here some actual links he can actually put on the YouTube channel. You can support it by checking out my Patreon, patreon.com/pod. It is my Patreon where you can actually support the episode. $5 a month. Access that I've been my San Diego very, very, very soon. Some of it's already started to go up. My interview with Brianna Renner's there. So I interview and everything. Topics can range from anything, PTSD and everything in the middle. My current book release is in Wonderland, playing Jason of the Wonderland.
I want to read that at some point. So I just have to see what you wrote an epic poem. Your goofy ass wrote an epic poem. I gotta read this at some point.
No, you should. It's really good. It's nominated for 2021. Alice 1, first full length story. Alice 2 is a work in progress as we speak right now. Other things, and beyond all that, I think the last thing I will do here is I will, in a way that I'm just grabbing this right now, plug my own YouTube channel, because frankly I should, because so my free episodes, my hold on a second here, my YouTube handle is at Josh to Britain, so he can follow it there. That is the YouTube channel. You can hit follow, subscribe. Some interviews there. And my latest series is for 12. Definitely check me out.
Awesome. All right, you can check me out on Twitter, where I'm even more unfiltered than I am right now. You see the real cantankerous bastard that I am. Also check out my Goodreads and Letterboxd, where I also write reviews that are probably more coherent than the one, well, not really, we just had a discussion, but the one you just heard right now, as I like to say. Also check out my Discord. So that's really all I gotta say. Thank you, Josh. And as I've said, and I will continue to say, because you're saying make a decision when you come to Oklahoma, or if or when you come to Oklahoma, you fucking let me know.
I will. We'll hang out. We'll hang out in person, bro.
All right, because I'm not fucking around. But anyway.
Yes.
Go check him out. Josh is good people.
I do my best.
Let's do it. All right, see you guys later. Until next time.